a Your Black World TV exclusive. Welcome to On The Real. I'm your host, Tiara Williams. Here on The Real, we talk about real issues that are affecting our African American community and trying to find solutions through conversation. So, let's get this conversation started. Meet my real talkers.
Quentin Miles, Washington, D.C.
Montelle, Harvey, Memphis, Tennessee.
Robert Howard, Los Angeles, California.
And of course, here on The Real, we talk about the good, the bad, and the ratchet of our African American community. So let's start with the ratchet. Are you guys ready?
Let's do it.
It's now time for our real ratchet rundown. I came across a story. A Des Moines, Iowa police officer was given probation after he and his partner nearly beat a black couple to death. He pled guilty to 4 felony charges and was still just sentenced to probation. His partner only got 20 months, and the couple received $500,000 as a settlement. I thought this was really ratchet for various reasons, but I want to see what you guys think first.
Well, just gonna be honest. Things like this really piss me off because it speaks to an overall undervaluing of the black life. Mm-hmm. It's evil.
Right.
It's evil. You know what I'm saying? Anytime the people who are supposed to protect and serve you are the ones who are attacking you, there's a problem with the overall culture and the country that these people represent.
Right.
And for this to still be happening in this day and age is ludicrous. Mm-hmm. And then to feel like you can purchase a life with $500,000 is just even more asinine to me. You know what I'm saying? And this is coming from the people who govern us.
Right.
As a people.
Right. So, Robert, I just wanted to, did you have a thought?
Absolutely. I feel like one of the reasons why I'm upset by this is one of the things that echoes in my mind is my mama taught me that people treat you in the long haul, how you teach them to treat you. So as a people, we've been allowing police and other people to be violent towards us in ways that they're not violent to other cultures, other racial groups. And that's more evident because we're violent to each other. Mm-hmm. That's one of the problems. We're so divided that our voices are in the kitchen, in the barbershop, in the salon, around the water cooler. We're angry individually. Mm-hmm. But historically, any movement that's ever happened that helped us or helped anyone else, it was a combined noise. We don't have that anymore. Right. I'm mad to my friends, like, man, I can't believe this is going on. Did you see the news? But we're not doing anything collectively about it. Mm-hmm. So it's going to continue to happen until we teach others how to treat us. And another thing we got to do is get us again.
Yeah. Okay, so let me move on to Kamani Gray, who was a 16-year-old Brooklyn teenager who was shot. The officer said that he had pulled the gun out and he was attacking them, but he was shot from the back. They fired 11 shots into this young boy, and he was hit 3 times in the back. I just wanted to see what you guys felt about the stop and frisk program that they have, and that they're allowing police officers to stop at any point just off suspicion in New York City. So what do you guys think of that?
This is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And the prevalence of these stories like Kamani Gray they're too frequent. They're too frequent when we hear about, our children being shot in the back, yet they were attacking. Mm-hmm. It's too frequent when we hear about our children sitting in the back of police cars, handcuffed, but they were going for weapons after they've already been frisked several times, and somehow they shot themselves or something like that. It's too frequent. It's become so frequent that the explanations, there's not even any effort into the explanations anymore. It's simple, he was attacking me.
Right. And they can say that, and it's fine. And they get away with it. I mean, these 2 officers have been, with the Kamani Gray situation, these 2 officers have abused this and have lawsuits pending against them for abusing this stop and frisk, and yet
they're still on the street.
Well, let me tell you what's been happening to us. The rules of the game have been defined by everybody else except for us. And then when we start to play by those rules, then those rules are switched. And then when we start to adapt to the new rules, then we're punished for that. You know what I'm saying? So what I mean is, we're put into an atmosphere given no tools to survive. But then once we start surviving, we're punished because of the way we've been forced to survive by these very same people. We're people. You know what I'm saying? With souls. You can't kill us in the street. You can't murder kids, a 16-year-old.
I see that there's a general feeling of frustration between our community and law enforcement. Like there's a frustration, there's a feeling of tension between us and them. You know, just their system in general. So how can we change the relationship that we have with law enforcement to make us kind of coexist? Specifically black men, and that's why I have all black men on the panel, because I feel like there's too many of us being killed in the streets, too many of us, you know, losing our lives. So what way can we change the relationship that we have with law enforcement?
I feel like initially, we touched on it a little bit earlier, that from the beginning of being here, there's been a devalue of the black male life, or just the black life, to be more specific. And we weren't human. To say I'm a human being, we fought for that label. We were not considered human initially. We changed the laws by having some advocacy. And after the law changed, we still weren't human. We were second-class citizens, second-class soldiers, second-class workers, second-class educated. We weren't the same. So the way they treat us is an extension of that. We also don't have people helping us get off the negative behaviors. We almost encourage it, like, oh, you hustling? Get your money.
Yeah.
I'll celebrate the drug dealer. I'll celebrate the pimp. I'll celebrate people doing illegal activities, but I feel bad when they miss it from my community. So there's a lot of negative things that we're doing, but we're not doing the right things to change this data.
Well, what can we do to change it?
One of the things that we can do for ourselves and also our children is educating our children on the game, so that they know their laws, so that they know their rights, so they know the provisions that are in there, so that they know when they are approached by law enforcement, when they're in court, they know the do's and the don'ts. They know the things that can be done to them and said to them, and the things that they don't have to do to themselves, such as self-incrimination and other things like that. We have to know the rules of the game, because what happens by and large is that we complain about the game without having a full understanding of it. It is literally a game, just like any other game.
Even with that, I feel like we're dancing around it. I'm 32 years old. I have a black son. He's 6. There have been times I'm in my car, my son's in the back, and I'll see a police officer behind me, or they'll look at me at a red light. I'm like, I know my rights. I know the law. I know what I can and can't do. But I also know that none of that matters in the moment. I'm going to have to take this whooping. I'm going to have to take these cuffs. I'm going to have to take this embarrassment, and then get his badge number, pay for a lawyer, find a lawyer in my community who takes this type of case, and then fight, and then deal with the fact that he's going to get a slap on the wrist. He'll be back at his desk job, back in the street, back doing what he's doing. And it's isolated incidents. We're not going, look, these are 6 cases in the last 3 months that this officer has improperly done something to our people. These are the names, these are the dates, this is the incidents, this is the consequence of it. And we want his badge. We're not doing that anymore.
I mean, when we're able to be stopped, for no reason at all, I mean, I think it puts us at a disadvantage. 684,000 people were stopped in 2009 for the stop and frisk.
That's just New York.
And the vast majority of them were Latino and African American. It just puts us in a position where, I understand about the game and I understand about all of that, but when you're in the moment and you're standing there and there's 4 police officers with barrels to your head or whatever.
But that's what I'm saying. Like it's an overall system. It's an establishment. It's well oiled. You know what I'm saying? Like it's been going on for hundreds of years. So you don't even have the people, the rest of the population to stand behind you when you do make a case. Let's say you do know the laws, you do know this, that, and the third, but if the whole world sees the black man as a criminal and as a threat, then they're going to side with the law enforcement, because that's how the law enforcement views the situation. They'll say, "Oh, I was afraid. Oh, Trayvon, he had a hood on. He looked like what you've been showing me day in, day out all of my life." You know what I'm saying? So this is a whole thing that goes beyond just law enforcement. So for these people who are in a position to govern us or protect and serve, they're called on to be a greater citizen and a greater human being, because they have so much power. You know what I'm saying? So they I guess, we have to go back. We have to maybe go back to the beginning and hire better people to police the people who actually care about people.
I hear what y'all are saying, and I know that, like, in the moment, certain things go out of the window. But what I'm saying is, if we understand these things about the game, and even what you guys are saying, that in that moment, things go out the window, then that means we just have to be more proactive than a case-by-case basis. We gotta back up, and we gotta stop being reactive and be proactive. So now we can't take it on a case-by-case basis. We got to say, man, how do we affect change? Like you're saying, we got to have better people to police the people who are supposed to be policing us. We have to start mobilizing and affecting change. That's the only way that's going to happen. Or 100 years from now, there's going to be another On the Real, and people going to be sitting on a couch talking about how police brutality hasn't changed for the last 100 years to black people. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is we have to literally squad up. Those of us who, have a mind for change and understand the steps, we have to put the people on our back.
I feel you. But looking at our history, there's been police brutality against people who have been advocating, stepping up, speaking out, marching, sitting in, being violent back, carrying guns into Capitol buildings. Those people are gone. Do I want to put my neck on the line for my son in my community so that I'm not around for my son in my community? It's a tough call. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I get
Martin
it.
Luther King did it.
Yeah, and he got sniped.
But look,
That's the real. The real is our leaders have been effectively taken out or pushed aside to the point where they took themselves out, or setting up a competition where our groups are split and they were competing against each other, taking each other's out.
Leader or not, you still got a target on your chest.
Absolutely.
See, it is such a huge thing. Like I was starting to say before, it's not just in law enforcement, but it's law enforcement. It's the media. It's schools. It's this place. It's that place. It's how we're viewed. It's how we're protected. It's how we're the opportunities that we're given. So let's say we took one aspect of what you're saying, and we mount up. 2013 Black Panthers, and we begin to police the police. Then the media is going to portray us in a certain way to the rest of the general population to make them go against us. So we don't have enough power in the media. That's what I'm saying. It's a huge system that has been set up, and it's everywhere. It's not just in law enforcement. It's the life that we live. It's in us, because I have friends. They view the world differently. Their mind is different. The way they formulate, they're free mentally. This one girl I was talking to, and I told her, because, sharing an experience, I was beaten by the police. Beaten, pepper sprayed, and then charged with assaulting a police officer. And I didn't do any, I was the one beaten. But I was sharing this with her, and she said, well, that would never happen, because if that happened, I would have did this and I would have did that. And it never occurred to me to do anything like that, because she was free mentally. It was just asinine to her. But to me, it was just another Friday.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And I understand what you're saying. And so I'm with you on that. I know that there is an entirety, and it's not just law enforcement, and it's not it's the media and all these things. And
how do you attack that?
That's what I'm saying. The game.
Everywhere.
That's what I'm saying. We know it's a game. I'll give you just a relevant example of, look at the turnaround in the last few years of America's sentiment on gay marriage. And that's because they played the game. They didn't just attack. They squatted up around a focus, had a plan of action and took a plan of action, and it delivered tangible results.
But the ones that did that are the powers that be. You can't take the powers that they're the ones that control things. It was the white people that did that.
But no. There's all kinds of people in the LGBT. There's all kinds of people, and this is what I'm saying. You look at the president coming out against his timing and saying that he's for gay marriage. You see all of the senators that are jumping ship across the aisle, both Republican and Democrat. They're not jumping ship because of morality. They are jumping ship because of money. So they took it and they took it off a moral thing.
Okay.
They were like, look,
we have a spending power.
Yeah,
I mean, we can
so
come together.
we have more spending power
not,
than enough. So what I'm saying is, they made it. It's not about equality and all these things. To be honest with you, people start checking their pockets and saying, okay, you want to talk about what our causes are and talk bad about them? Check your pockets. Check your pockets. That's the way that they played the game.
I can dig that. But what I'm saying is that, and I want to make sure it's understood. And furthermore, I'm not about. I made a statement and I said the white people. Now, I'm not about any type of division. I'm actually against division, period. Mm-hmm. But for me, anytime I see anything that's pro gay rights, I see a white face attached to it. So that's what I mean when I say that. Now, let's just be honest. White people are the ones who control things. Okay? In general. So if you got white people that control things and they have a statement about something, then they have that platform to do so because they already control things.
But we have control. We just don't take control.
I'm not saying that we're void of all control, but I'm saying that the reason why we're even here is because we're addressing issues of the downtrodden people.
Right.
That's why we're here.
But
we're not. You can't take a group of people that are not downtrodden and compare them to people that are.
Well, Montelle, we have the most. I would say hip hop. I'm gonna just use hip hop as a form of influence. We move nations. Music, like we have so much power and so much voice. And just the music alone, we have changed an entire world through hip hop.
For good and for bad, though.
For good and for bad, but I'm saying we could use that. We could just use that and push our agenda through music. If we, I mean,
you think we haven't been trying to do that?
No,
who is
not
think
the
about
majority.
De La Soul.
I'm just saying, no. I'm not saying that De La Soul.
We've been trying to do it.
Not all.
It has not
we ain't
been
all
done.
on one page. We ain't all been trying to do it now.
No.
We ain't all.
The reason for that is because of the media. They don't pump that. And who controls the media?
It ain't just they don't pump that.
If we made,
because they don't sell it to us. It's not cool.
No, 2 Chainz will sell out a concert way faster
because 2 Chainz get all the airplay.
But that's what I'm saying. If we
That's
all,
not
Nas is way more dope than 2. You'll never hear.
But this is what I'm saying.
Nothing.
But I'm saying we started hip hop. If we just use that platform, because if we're talking about,
but we don't control the platform, is what I'm saying.
But if we didn't make music that was ratchet, then we couldn't.
We do what we gotta do to survive.
So create another platform.
Exactly.
Why not
control that?
We created the platform.
Who is they? You are giving they, whoever they is.
You don't know who they is? You don't know who they is. Tell me you don't know who they is.
I don't know who they is. You know why? No. I don't. I'm telling you, I don't know who they is.
How long have you been staying in this country? You don't know. Why are we here because of that?
No. Let me tell you something, dog. Forget they. Create a platform or sit back on a damn sofa or in the barbershop and say forever and ever and ever, they. One time, you got to step up and say me. And if you're not willing to step up and say me, then everybody should just shut up and stop talking about they,
Nobody
man.
is blaming nobody. But you got to look at the reality of things. We have been oppressed by they.
I'm looking at the reality
That's
of things.
That's the consequence of oppression, though.
I know. No.
Oh my God! Is somebody here with me on this freaking couch?
If you do a good job of oppressing, just look at
these people act like they don't live in the United States.
Let me get it.
If you look at the slave house as an example, initially it was not black people enslaving black people on a plantation in the South.
Right.
But if I start rewarding you with my jacket, and I give you my jacket if you enslave them the right way, and I reward you, then they'll start seeing that and they'll want to be like you.
Now,
the other problem is We used to have an opportunity to get together. It used to be on Sundays. It used to be barbecues. It used to be church settings and stuff. When you start dividing our cultural connections, we're not raising the flag like, oh, did you know what happened this weekend? How many of y'all saw what happened with Lil Johnny? How many of y'all seen what happened with Miss May? We don't do that no more. I might text it to you. I might Facebook you, but we're not connecting the right way no more.
So should we never do it again?
I think we should.
Nobody's saying that.
I know. I'm asking. So
I think
what,
we should.
So what are we saying?
It takes us. There's been a generational gap from leadership. The men in our culture are gone. They've been pushed aside to jails. They've been killing themselves off with food. They're not stepping up with leadership in the household. They're not in the household. But when the men step up, the women support it. The women step up. The kids support it. The kids step up. And as a community, we'll be a community. And if we say, this is the issue we want to fight about this month, then we'll fight about it that month. But it's got to be a us.
Yeah.
It's the beginning of what I said. If there's no us, we're going to keep getting pushed.
But let me say this. Due to everybody's struggle, everybody is trying to survive, so it's hard for there to be an us because
They're not on self.
everybody is about self.
Yeah.
But understandably so, because if you are put in a situation where you're going to either sink or swim, live or die, you're going to live just because you have to. So I feel like I'm on fire for what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? But it's not as easy as I'm getting ready. We've been trying to do that. It's not as easy as I'm getting ready to go out and it's going to be a movement. It's going to be this, that, and the third. We've done it before.
Yeah. And I'm not.
Look at COINTELPRO against the Panthers, against everybody. They come against you.
I hear you.
And shut you down.
But do you think it's easier for us to do these things in 2013 than it was in the 60s?
Absolutely.
In the 50s?
Hell no.
And the 1800s?
Hell no.
If we stick together, I mean, we have a platform.
no.
I love you. You're so optimistic. I love that.
We
really.
have a platform.
We have
We're
a
just
platform,
using it
but
the wrong way.
but look at Pac. Where is Pac? He's no longer with
I'm not going to go with
us.
the Pac example, but I'm going to go with the
No,
Dr. King. I'm going to go with the Malcolm example.
I'm gonna say
If you
two-
Take
I'm gonna
off
say
the
two-
head, the body die.
No.
Any effective leader gets taken out. Now everyone's like, well, I don't want to.
Tupac was the new. He was attempting to be the one of those guys, the leader for our generation, but still suffering from the plight of the black man. This discussion, everything is just an illustration of how we've been wound up. Like the problems and what we're facing is just so wound up. It's like you got to undo in order to understand how to redo.
And we'll leave here and go home in our individual ways, and we won't be wound up no more. There's no us.
For me to sit down with other intellectuals that are mindful enough to know the psychology of where we are, you know, and the journey of where we are, not only physically, but socially, psychologically, spiritually, all of these places. For me to sit here and then, you know, and the same breath for you guys to say, well, you know, I don't know, can't be a leader. For me to see just this potential right here that's sitting before me, but not also to see that, look, we can do whatever, whoever they are cannot stand in our way. For me not to get that sense from us hurts me. It does, because
You're not understanding what's being said.
I understand exactly what's being said.
But that's not what you're communicating right now. I'm not getting that you understood what we were saying.
I understood. My man said that is he going to risk his life and his son's life for his neighborhood and for his people? He didn't think so.
But that's what he was saying. Hold on. What he's saying is that's part of the oppressive system. It's collusion.
I know.
We're having a discussion about this
on
on a couch by ourselves, and there's no one who's going to come in and be like, I agree with y'all. What can we do to help you? The beginning of the conversation is really, really rich, but we'll get to spinning, which is what colluding is. We're colluding to a system. We're just going to keep taking it to a degree, or you might even judge me for saying, well, I'm not going to put my neck on the line. There are many of us who are putting our neck on the line individually in our community, stepping up with organizations, volunteering, advocating. But because you might not know that, or I don't know what you're doing and we don't know what each other are doing, the movements are sprinkled out. When we get to a point where we're making plans, like you just said, with other communities who have made strides and had campaigns and raised awareness and changed people's minds so that you can actually make change. If we could get together so we can make some of those moves, then we will stop colluding. Then systems start to change. Then we'll see the effects of our people getting locked up, incarcerated, beaten brutally. The number of our students who are getting kicked out of schools, over suspended, sent out, expelled, put in juvie. That's the beginning of it. But if we're okay with that, if we're okay with punishing our kids, if we're okay with in our household having no discipline, then we're going to see that later on they're going to get locked up. That's another side of the conversation. But for anything to change, I really feel like we need to have more of our conversations and then do something.
Let me just wrap it up, and I do want to share some good news. Dr. Boyce Watkins and Russell Simmons of Your Black World, and you guys of course know who Russell Simmons is. They partnered to stop mass incarceration, and it's something that we can all be a part of. Gabrielle Union, John Legend, Will Smith, Jada, all of them, and us here on The Real support this movement and this coalition. So there are people out trying to push, and we want to commend Russell Simmons and Dr. Boyce Watkins. I'm sure there are other people that feel just like we do. So I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you guys so much. I mean, this has been an amazing show. And thank you so much for watching. Feel free to join our conversation, and go ahead and subscribe. Click that subscription button right down there. And you have been watching On The Real. We'll see you soon. Hi, I'm Tiara. If you like the programming that you've seen today, go support us on GoFundMe.com. We're at www.gofundme.com/A-Real-Righteous-Startup. That's A Real Righteous Startup, REEL Righteous Startup. And we'll see you there. Thank you so much in advance. Bye.